long as you are ready, willing, and able to continue serving for the next 6 months
Okay.
ish.
Okay, great. So, so then,
We have a
how about,
vote?
well, do we have to amend the motion or?
Yes,
Oh, yes.
yes.
So I'm just gonna suggest an amended motion, which is that I would serve as chair through the middle of November, and then Kate would take over until from the second half of November through the 2026 annual town election.
Is there a specific date in November that we want to set? Like the 15th, because it's the middle of the month?
Um, actually, I meant to pull open our little calendar. Hold on.
We have the 6th or the 20th are our two meeting dates.
So why don't we have the change take effect on the 20th?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Roll call. Bayuk,
Yes.
Boyle.
Yes.
Thank you. And so therefore I'll let you take over the meeting to find a secretary.
Okay.
Sorry, clerk.
I was gonna say, I think it's clear. So I'd like to nominate Kate Bayuk to serve as clerk through November 20th, 2025. And I would say let's just not specify anything after that point because a new member of the select board might be interested in taking on that role.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Kate,
Yes.
and I'm also a yes. Jenny, did that all make sense? You got it?
It did all make sense, yes.
Okay. Great. Thank you for that. Next up, we just have this was added to our agenda, a sign request for a waiver at 544 Wattaquatic Hill Road. This is a request for a waiver because the dimensional requirements exceed 16 square feet. Jenny or Marie, I don't know if somebody from the property is here to speak on the topic.
Yes, Charlie Michael is here.
Okay. Go ahead. Hi, Mr.
Hello.
Mike. Welcome.
Hi, Charlie Mickle from Oak and Orchard, 544 Wattaquatic Hill Road. We're here for our sign request. I guess what I was told, the size of the sign, and we're putting up the exact same size that Baba and Legacy Kitchen had on their sign, 4 feet by 8 feet.
Got it. It's on the existing sign structure, basically, right?
We're going to do a whole new structure, but it's going to be exactly the same size.
Okay. We had a visual in our packets. Kate, did you have any questions?
Nope, I've reviewed it and I don't have any issues or questions.
No, I think it looks great. It's a really nice sign. I hope, when are you guys planning to be open?
We're getting there. We're getting that. Hoping some soft openings end of June, beginning of July would be ideal.
Oh yeah, thank you, Jenny. You're going to share the screen so people at home can see. Yeah, looks very attractive. Okay, I also think this makes good sense. So I'd entertain a motion to approve the sign waiver.
I will make a motion to approve the sign waiver for Oak and Orchard.
And I'll second that. Roll call, Kate.
Yes.
And I'm also a yes. Thanks, Mr. Mickle. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, have a good evening.
Thanks.
Good night.
Okay. Next item on our agenda is we're going to do a town meeting review. And typically we do that with the town moderator, the town clerk's office, and also the chair of the advisory committee. And I know our town clerk, Jen Markey, had submitted some input in writing ahead of time. So if it's okay with you, Marie, you can be her proxy for sharing that feedback.
Sure.
But I wanted to open with just a couple comments. First of all, a huge thank you to Doug Story, our town moderator, and to Jen Markey, our town clerk, and the whole team that handled all the logistics, including Jenny Jacobson. Just I could name everybody, but it was a lot of hard work. I think we had a ton of people in attendance, which is great to see. And Bob, I thought your presentation was excellent. And I won't be too long-winded here, except I did want to just editorialize and say I felt super proud of the way Bolton residents carried on the conversation because we had differences of view that were expressed civilly and respectfully. And I thought a lot of great points were made, and we all still felt like a cohesive community. So I thought it was a really great meeting. But open it up to other people for comments and then maybe talk about logistics and improvements and things. Doug, do you want to go? Oh,
You're muted.
yeah.
Hello?
There you go.
There you go.
Okay. Thank you very much. I just wanted to say thank you to all of you, especially Jenny and Marie and Jen and all the folks who helped out. It was very, very, very well managed, and truthfully, they do all the work on that. I kind of stand up there at the podium and keep the meeting moving along. I agree with what you said, Brian. I was frankly surprised that we had 535 people. That's the second biggest meeting that we've had in the last 9 years. The only other one bigger was the high school special meeting. And frankly, in 30 years, it's probably one of the top 3 or 4 biggest meetings. So it was a big year. There were a lot of people that were very invested, and I appreciated all the comments as well. I thought it was amazing that there was a diversity of ideas presented, both sides, and all done civilly. I mean, I got to tell you that we are very, very lucky in Bolton. We have a citizenry that is respectful, and that's tremendous. Because I'm on the mass moderators group, and I just hear over and over again in towns where they just have less civil proceedings, and I'm always very, very grateful. But I thought it went really well. I thought the presentations were great. I thought the timing worked out well. We got it done, and didn't even go over 11, which was amazing. So I was very happy with how the meeting was held.
Marie?
As Jen, the town clerk, she was very happy with how the meeting was held, but had some things that she's discussing with the poll workers. As Doug had mentioned, the turnout was high, and it's always a challenge when there's high attendance with most people arriving at the same time. So they're looking at some logistical changes, evaluating how the line is set up for voter check-in to make it just a one-stop line rather than a two-stop line. And seeing also if it'd be possible to borrow poll pads in the same way that we borrow clickers for the meeting, if there's a potential for a high turnout meeting. Another option they're considering would sort of be the pre-check line, but it's not a pre-check, but one line dedicated for early arriving board and committee members, or having a line that is just exclusively for non-residents. The town clerk, Jen, is seeking any suggestions, though, that come out of tonight. And as you know, following town meeting, there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens at the clerk's office. So she wanted to also relay that she had gotten the AG filings out for the general and bylaws that went out this week. Subsequently, the special act for issuance of alcoholic beverage licenses went to both Senator Kennedy and Representative Hogan. And then our adoption for the Mass General Law was sent to the Public Records Office. But Jen is looking at any insight that folks might have would make things run more smoothly, especially where there is a high turnout meeting.
Um, I I have some thoughts, but I want to make sure, Bob, you have a chance to share your input.
Yeah, great, thank you. So I would just echo what everyone else said. I thought it was very well organized, very well run. I thought it was a great meeting. Very helpful to hear everyone's perspective and hear all the different viewpoints. And I think there were a lot of great suggestions made and things for us to consider going forward. I think we really benefited from all of the information that was put out in advance of the meeting, whether it was the information sessions or the YouTube infomercial or the letters to the editor. I think, across the board, that really helped. If we had not done that, I think it would have been unmanageable just with the numbers of questions and comments that would have come up at the meeting. So I think that's a good lesson we can maybe take forward the next time we have something that's just going to generate a lot of interest.
Yep.
Agreed.
I agree with that. And honestly, Bob, I think it's worth trying to do more of that even in years where we don't think there's a big ticket item, but just for public information.
Sure.
My one logistical comment, and this was an idea I heard a few people float, which is that obviously a lot of people showed up really close to 7 o'clock and sort of figured, oh, we'll just walk in and the meeting will begin the way it does if you're on Zoom. So whether we want to advertise and strongly encourage like doors open at 6:30, voting begins at 7 p.m. sharp, something like that,
Yeah.
just to help manage expectations.
Yeah.
Because that was the only thing that I thought could have been better, is that we just ended up waiting almost a half hour until everybody had a chance to get a seat.
And I would just add to that, Brian, you know, that's one of those things that I don't want to start the meeting late, but I also, in good conscience, I cannot start it when there are 300 people standing outside. So, and I don't want to train people that that's what we're going to do. We say it's 7, but it's really 7:30. So I think we all collectively, and I appreciate Jen Marquis's comments and thoughts. We need to come up with a better plan for, number one, getting people there earlier, and number two, getting them through and registered as quickly as we possibly can. Frankly, I think on the fly, they did a fabulous job, because they went out there and added people and processed quite a few more people more quickly than would have happened otherwise. And I think that was amazing. But we should be starting at 7 o'clock. So that's a good point. We really need to figure out how to get people there a little earlier.
Yeah. Great. Any other comments or feedback? Kate, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I thought the meeting was really great. I echo everybody else that it was nice to see the amount of civil discourse and community engagement. Like Brian, I think that getting the sort of pre-meeting information out to the public should be a goal every year. I think it made for a lot more informed discussion and informed voters. The only other comment that I had, Doug, was whether there's a way to try and speed up some of the voting. Whether some of the articles that seem like they're going to be non-controversial might go by voice vote still. Just because I think it does take a long time for people to, learn the clicker and lock in. And, I felt like there was a lot of time maybe that we could have, not a lot, but some time that we could have shaved off.
Good point. Yeah, I actually, when we first started voting with the remote devices, it was amazing. The initial thought is, wow, this is so much faster. But then there are votes that could actually probably be faster that I'm not opposed at all to doing voice votes. And also in the past, I have done consent agendas where we combine votes together. And I have no problem with doing that where they're like issues and they're not issues that are likely to bring up, much controversy. And then always in a consent agenda, people can ask for a hold to pull something out so that, if it is an issue that they don't want to be voted with other issues, we can do that. So that's a good point, and I'll take that under consideration that there might be a few of those votes that we could do by voice vote more quickly. Thank you, Kate.
All right, well, unless there are any other comments, again, thank you, Doug and Bob, of course, Marie, for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Congrats on getting through another election. All right, have a good night, folks.
Great, thanks.
Thank you very much.
And
Next up, we're running a little ahead of schedule, but we have on our agenda to get a progress report update from Parks and Recreation regarding the summer camp planning. So I think we have Lisa Sheppel in. Lisa, are you able to unmute yourself?
Yeah, sorry.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, sorry about that.
No, it's okay. We're running a few minutes ahead of schedule.
Oh, okay, good.
So thank you for joining. I think what we had said earlier is that we wanted to kind of get a progress report on all the summer camp planning, just to kind of make sure that we're on track to having all the requirements fulfilled in time for the opening. So
Yep.
love any update you're able to provide.
Yep, we're getting there slowly, but we will get there. So I put a list of all the things that we have to get done. Did you get that? I think it was in the packet.
I will admit, I literally came straight to this.
Okay, that's fine.
So if you could walk me through it, that'd be helpful.
Okay, so just finishing up hiring some staff. We have about half coming back from last year and about half new ones, which we have like 12 coming back from last year. And we're hiring about 12 more staff. And just getting through that. Now I have to just get all their paperwork that we need from them, all the new employee forms, and plus being a camp, we have to get a lot of forms from them as Corey and Sorried, their medical records, their immunization forms, and oh, thanks. The orientation, we have to plan the orientation for that the week before camp starts. And I'm working on the policies and procedures for employee handbook and along with the parents handbook. They're almost the same, I found out. I met with Jim last week, a week ago today, and he looked it over. We went through everything that needed to be done. That's sort of how this list came about. And so I'm not sure if Jenny shared that. It was a lot of
Yeah, we got copies of the draft policy.
yeah. So I have to just do some more additions to that, but it's basically there. What else do I have to do? And just complete that, yeah. And then gather all their forms. I think they all have, about 11 forms, 11 forms in total that I need from them. Then we got the healthcare. You have to have a doctor and a nurse. I got the doctor and along with the nurse, and there's some forms that I have to get ready for them that like any shots, EpiPen shots or any medication, there has to be a form that we need to fill out. Or even if I put on a Band-Aid, I'm told I need to put that all in there. And what else? And then it's, and all the campers that sign up, they all need to send in their healthcare forms and immunization sheets along with that. As they sign up, some are sending in, some later. I'm gonna say the week before they need to send it to me. Because if they don't have that there, they can't go to camp. Let me see, the healthcare, have to purchase the first aid kits, I have to purchase supplies that I need for this year. We've got the aquatics director in line, who will be Linda Herbison, who's worked on our beach.
Yep.
She's qualified for that. And then we're gonna have 3 lifeguards, and I need to get all their forms as well. In CPR actually, and everybody needs CPR too. And then we have to make sure that, and this will be more on Boy Scouts, but beforehand, I'm gonna go over there to make sure what I think will pass. The water has to be clear. I think I read that they put a black disc in there, and this is for Christian's Law. And if they can't see the black disc, it won't qualify. They have to, it's all like muck down there that you have to get out so you can see to the bottom.
Yep.
And then we have to get the building inspector to go check the building. We just basically use the dining hall and the bathroom. I'm not sure if he has to check the bathroom too, but I know he has to check the dining hall along with the fire department has to check that too. And yeah, so we're moving along. I did check today that we have 172 spots, registrations in, which it's hard to tell from last year to compare because of viewpoint. You can't tell because a lot of people signed up and didn't come. But I think we're about halfway from what we usually get, but I do know a lot of people signed up the month of June. So I'm hoping we're close to that. And I know every year that we get people signing up for like the week before too. And, as long as I have their forms, it's fine. And I think we're doing okay.
I can give a little bit of a enhancement to what Lisa had mentioned. Jim Garaffi of the Neshoba Board of Health met with Lisa for it's like 2.5, 3 hours,
It's a lot
went
longer.
through everything, provided a lot of templates as well as good feedback. And then I spoke with Jim following the meeting with Lisa. He's pretty psyched and very optimistic. He'll be back on June 5th to go through documentation and has been sending emails subsequently, providing just feedback in terms of the vagaries of Christian's Law or many twists and turns. But when I spoke with him, he's very confident that the program will be certified as a camp. And is dedicated also, he loves camps, and so he's dedicated to working to make it happen too.
I mean, that's all great news. I will say this, I know it's been a lot of work, but in a year, when you're going through this time next year, it will be much easier.
Yes.
And I'm so glad to hear about Mr. Gareffi's level of confidence in the process and his optimism. That's, I think, great news for people that are excited about the program. Kate, do you have any questions?
Well, one comment and a question. I know that this has been an arduous process to go through, and Lisa, I appreciate all of your work that you've put into making it happen. But just based on how much work it's been, I think, we can feel really confident that this is a strong, safe, well-run, well-managed camp. I think it provides a lot of assurance about the quality that Bolton is providing with this program. And then my question is, do we have a sense of when we will have a final approval? Is there a drop dead date that it must be done by?
Mr. Gareffi will come on the first day of camp, but he will be giving me candid feedback following the meeting on June 5th.
Okay.
But the actual one becomes certified on the inspection, I'm sorry, I'm leaping into Lisa's comment, on the inspection of the first day of camp opening. So that's the update.
And then my only other question is, Lisa, whether you feel like you have all the resources that you need to be able to get all of this done in a pretty tight time frame. Is there anything else that you need?
I think I'll be able to do it, and if I'm not, I have a couple people that I can call on to help if I don't think I'll be able to finish all the paperwork in time. But the timing is okay. Yeah, it's really, but I'm gonna tell everybody, if you don't have the paperwork in time, then they really can't be an employee there. And I hope that doesn't happen. I have a couple extra from the other years. The other years I've gotten about 18 to 20 kids. This year think I'm gonna have about 24 altogether. That includes the 2 supervisors. But I think I'm leaving it just in case if they don't give me their paperwork by day 1 when he checks. He did say that he'll come day 1 to inspect, and if we're missing something, he'll give us a little leeway to get that in, so I'm gonna try to have, except for everybody's paperwork, I'm gonna try to get everything as much as I can done for his June 5th meeting. So I'll know more by then too. So, but other than the property that I can't do much, which I will go in to look, everything's in our hands, yeah, except for the property.
I had a quick question about the murkiness of water and stuff like that. So in the past, have we had to comply with, I mean, Christian's Law is fairly new, but in the past, have we had to do anything or?
So last year was my first year there. Before this will be our 5th year, but before that we were at the town common with no water, so that didn't matter. But last year we were in a camp, and that's the difference of being a camp. Like all these forms and all these procedures weren't necessary because we weren't a camp. It's
Yeah.
only when you're camp that these apply. The water wasn't perfect last year when we started, but the Boy Scouts have promised me they're going to be better about it. But what we did last year is we kind of cleaned it out ourselves when we got there. The first couple weeks, that's what we basically did, along with our other things. But we did have extra counselors there helping clearing it out. It was no fun, but we did.
And then, so when does the testing for that happen? Is that going to happen on June 5th and then again?
No, I think it's on day 1 actually, when he comes to the camp.
Okay.
Yeah, when Jim comes.
Not being an expert at all, that's just the one thing that I would suggest, like really trying to get some assurance that it'll pass on day 1, because unlike some other like clerical fixes that you can probably pull together in a day if they're not done on day 1, fixing the murkiness of the water might actually take the camp offline for several days.
Yeah. Ryan, and they run their own camp on the other side of the pond too. So they know what they need to get done. And he said, I know, because we weren't at camp last year, he knew he could get away with it. He knows he can't get away with it this time. And the other side, it's like, that's what we said. I'm there, the other side was cleaned and not ours. So now we know what needs to be done. But we do plan on visiting it. It was going to be June 5th, but I'm going to change it. We have 2 new commission members, and we were going to take a visit over there to show the new ones the property. So I was going to check on it that day too. It's not going to be that day. It's going to be a different day, but we will be checking it in the next few weeks too. So I can kind of get a feeling of how it'll be and how much work they will need to do before our June 3rd date.
Okay, great.
I haven't seen the underlying agreement with the Boy Scouts, but I assume that they do have responsibility and for providing clean access. So, I hope you guys aren't out there, and, we should
Yeah,
make sure that the Boy Scouts are doing what they're supposed to do, because we do pay for the use of the facility.
exactly,
So
exactly. Yep,
hopefully they're on top of it this year.
yeah, they have to make sure the water's good, the trash is taken, and I think that's it, and the water. I think that's it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you for the
Okay.
update. Appreciate your time, Lisa.
Sure. Okay, thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks, bye.
Bye. Okay, next up, we have an update regarding the East End Historic District, and I see Bob Bush is here.
With terrible lighting.
Oh, no, welcome. I'm just going to turn this right over to you so you can just explain to anybody who might be watching this later exactly what happened recently.
Okay. Well, the short story is that I'll go through the longer story so that the whole story is told.
Oh, and
First of all,
sorry,
this
just introduce yourself again for people that don't know
okay.
your
My name is Bob Bush, and I'm the chairman of the Historical Commission in town, and I've been that role for quite a number of years now. And what I'm going to do is provide a little bit of background of what's been going on for a very long time. This whole process started back around 40 years ago, back in the 1980s, when work started to complete a series of historic inventory forms for each of the historic properties in town. This led to an overall plan for 3 National Register historic districts in town. The first was Main Street, west of 495. The second was the Pan District, which is just east of 495. And the third and final one is the East End District, which is the one we're talking about here tonight, which was just approved in April. The primary person from our end who was involved with this was our consultant named Ann Forbes, who has been involved with us since the late 1990s to detail and update these inventory records, which later became the necessary supporting information for preparing the National Register Historic District nomination, which Ann also prepared. So we were very lucky to have both her expertise and the continuity for all these years, so that it made the whole process go a lot smoother. The actual nomination itself started in 2020 with a significant impact by the pandemic. The process involved taking or translating the individual inventory forms into a cohesive narrative history of the area. And there were a lot of iterations to get the narrative correct, including adjusting the boundaries and meeting ever-changing Mass Historical Commission requirements. And finally, in January 2024, we had a resident meeting to explain the benefits of the district. And shortly after that, we submitted the form for Mass Historical approval, which was finally granted in December 2024. And subsequently, the DOI, Department of the Interior, approved it in April 2025. So it was a very long process, but it's nice to have it done. So that's basically the gist of it. The only remaining step is we need to erect 3 road signs to mark the district. And I thought I'd take the advantage while I'm here to ask for if you guys would be willing to approve those, with the proviso that we would coordinate with Randy Heglin to determine the precise locations when we finally put those up.
I would just want to make sure there's no procedural reason why we can't provisionally accept that. I'm assuming they would look the way prior historic district signs have looked.
Right, we're going to the same vendor that we have that provide all the other signs, so they're going to look exactly the same as what we have now, obviously with different lettering pertinent to the different district, but otherwise they're going to be the same. They'll be installed by the vendor. So
Yep.
the only issue was coordinating the actual location so they don't get knocked over by plows and all that sort of stuff. But again, the typical practice we followed in the past is to get together with Randy, go do a site survey, pick the locations, and then we'll get them installed. That probably won't happen for quite a while. It may not even happen for the next 6 months, but it'll happen in the not terribly distant future.
Okay. Marie, any procedural reason we shouldn't give provisional approval to that?
Not seeing any. I've turned to also Jenny. I don't believe that this sign requires a select board waiver, but it fits within the town meeting approved sign policy.
All right.
What is the size of the sign?
I don't know the exact dimensions, but there are already a half a dozen of them in town the same size.
Well, our sign bylaws just changed on Monday.
Okay.
So they're a little bit different. The process is a little different than it's been. If it's greater than 16 square feet, because I would assume
Oh,
that they would be
no,
placed in
no.
residential. Yeah.
We couldn't afford that.
Yeah.
We would take 7 years of budget to do that.
Yeah, so no waiver would be needed as long as the location was approved by the town. And if Randy's taking care of that, I wouldn't think that the select board would need to be involved any longer with that process.
That was my thought was, but I figured as long as I'm here, might as well kill two birds with one stone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's great. Oh, just really quickly, Bob, could you
Yep.
give like for people that don't quite understand, like what does it actually mean when something is officially included within the National Register of Historic Places? Could you just give a high level summary of that?
I'm glad you asked that question because this is something that people get very confused about. And when we had the meeting that I referred to back in January, it was the subject of a lot of discussion. So a National Register Historic District is an honorary designation. It doesn't impose any requirements on any property owners. Property owners can do anything they want, and they just live by the same requirements that every other homeowner in town does. It actually provides some benefits. The biggest benefit is that it forces the state to do some additional review if, in fact, they would do something like road widening. So there's no downside and there's only upside. And this is in contrast to something that is maybe not so well known as the local historic district, which we don't have any of. Bolton has none, and we're not planning to put any in. But those are the ones that you hear about where people have to go through special approvals to get, any kind of exterior modification done. We don't need to do any of that.
Okay.
And just to sort of editorialize a little bit, my personal opinion is that by and large, the historic homeowners in town do a great job in maintaining their properties. And I don't think they need anyone looking over their shoulders. So we have absolutely no plans to do anything like that.
Great. Thank you for that overview. I just wanted to transmit one little note. Let me first say, I think we are all for you and the commission coordinating with Randy to try to identify some suitable locations for these signs. But one note that Jenny Jacobson shared with me, that if those locations that are ultimately selected in consultation with our DPW director turn out to be fewer than 20 feet to the road, those might need a waiver. So there's a possibility that you will have to just come back for that waiver. But
Okay.
there's no objection in principle to it. It's just that one technical thing.
Right, I got it. I assume that Randy's familiar with these kind of requirements so that we won't get confused.
I would hope so.
Okay, all right.
Well, thank you so much, Bob, for coming to share the good news and for all
Yeah,
the
good,
work I know that
definitely
went
good
into it.
news.
Okay,
Any other questions before I sign off?
No, thank you for all your work on getting this done.
Okay, well, it was a team effort. A lot of people involved, spent a lot of time on it. So it's nice when something gets finished.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Well, thanks again. Have a
Thank you.
good night.
Have a great evening. See you later.
Night.
Okay. So next item on our agenda is we are going to have a discussion about next steps related to the Committee on Senior Tax Policy. I'm actually going to share my screen to just tee up a little bit of information for anybody that might be watching or watch this in the future. So can you see a slide that says elderly and disabled taxation aid? Yep.
Yep.
Okay, great. So just as a reminder, at the town meeting on May 5th, we had Article 8 in the warrant, which was allowing the town to accept the provisions of Mass General Law that would allow us to create a committee on senior tax policy. So this article was approved at town meeting on May 5th. And so now we have, you know, some new things that we're able to do. So there's basically three main components of this. The first is that we can establish an elderly and disabled taxation aid fund. And the purpose of that fund is to defray real estate tax expenses for elderly and disabled persons of low income. So that's the first thing, is the establishment of a fund. The second thing is that we can solicit and receive voluntary donations to fund the program. So I'll say this a few times, but just to be really clear, the funds for this are not coming through taxation of the residents. They are voluntary donations to the fund. And then the third thing is that we can create an elderly and disabled taxation aid fund committee to actually carry out and administer the program. So what would that committee look like? Well, under the statute, the composition is as follows. There's the chair of the Board of Assessors or somebody designated by them, the town treasurer or her designee, and then 3 residents that would be appointed by us as the select board. And the role of the committee is really twofold. They have to adopt some rules and regulations that actually talk about how this program would be implemented and what the qualification criteria would be. And then the committee will also be the one making determinations regarding eligibility for people that are applying to the program. And of course, all of that is subject to the availability of funds. And because the funding, again, for this program is only from voluntary donations, the town of Bolton, we won't be guaranteeing a certain level of assistance each year or that it's going to be year to year. But of course, we are extremely hopeful that there are residents in town who want to support this program through their voluntary donations. And I know people can't click on links right now. I think we're going to try to get this up on the town's website as well. But if folks are curious or interested in this, there are some examples in other communities. And there's a lot more than just this, but you could check out Needham and Harvard and Danvers to just see how these committees operate and what their rules and regulations are. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this tonight is because we want to put a call out to folks that might be interested in serving on the committee. So as I said, we're going to be appointing 3 residents. Our goal, I believe, of course, would welcome you to chime in, Kate, if you have another view, but I would think we'd want to try to get this committee up and running early in the new fiscal year, which begins July 1st. And, you know, give them time to set their rules and regulations and all of that. And so we'd really like people to give this some thought, talk about it with their neighbors. I'll say I had seen some comments on Facebook on the topic of assistance for elderly who may have trouble with the property taxes. So this is a really great way to try to get involved in addressing that. So please send your expressions of interest and just some general qualifications to Jenny Jacobson, and her email address is right there, ea@townofbolton.biz. And also Jenny or Marie, you can chime in, but we also have a process where I guess this would be posted as well, or right?
Yes,
Like,
I could send out a news and announcement and put it on the board and committee and job page that we have on the website.
great. Okay, so Marie, did I get anything wrong, or Kate, do you have any questions?
No, I'm excited for the program to get up and running. I think it'll be a great addition.
Only slight tweak is that it's elderly or disabled. So recipients are not required to be both elderly and disabled.
Good. That's a very lawyerly catch, Marie. The difference between and or. Yes, good one. Yeah, and please, folks, if you're interested, we would really love for you to reach out and express interest so we can get this committee going. Okay. I don't think we need to really take a vote on anything, right? At this point, it's just town meeting passed it and we're just getting the ball rolling?
Yep.
Okay. All right, next item on our agenda is to take public comment, if there is any public comment. And I'm not seeing any. Okay, so now I will turn it over to our town administrator for the town administrator report.
All right. Let me go through my excitement of screen share. A very tired mouse. This week, the large projects continue to pace. I've shared with the select board members that 580 Main Street, Alta Neshoba, is rising quickly. They're definitely keeping on schedule. The optimal news, though, of the 7th of May was that the Forbush Mill stream crossing, Forbush Mill Bridge number 2, you may have heard me mention this, that we had sought supplemental earmarks for out of a great concern that there would be a significant funding shortfall, which would undermine all of the work that has been done, as well as the money that the town had put in. The bids were received. They were opened. There were 2 bidders within the available funding. For the past few days, Ty and Bond, our consultants, have gone through reference checks, and as of this afternoon, had recommended a notice of award to R. Bates and Sons of Sterling. So that notice of award has been sent from the town to R. Bates. We're looking for their response. If folks wonder, the contract winning bidder amount of the most responsible and responsive bidder was $874,605. This fits within the FEMA share as well as the matching town meeting share that was designated at last year's town meeting. Design work continues on the culvert on 117, which is near the Houghton building. Likewise, in the past week, the Mass Department of Transportation has alerted us that culvert on 117 on the west end of town may likewise rise to being designated as a bridge. This is Mass DOT doing their investigative reporting. This would be something in my conversations with the DPW director that would be coming before the board perhaps in 2032. So long-term horizon, but we may be having an additional bridge. The roundabout project is on schedule. I've shared with the board a 3-week look ahead. There has been ongoing progress and coordination with the high school project, especially as they've been receiving large amounts of concrete for their foundation pouring. The Community Compact Grant for the graphic interface system, the GIS consolidation is happening. First step in that is we need to document and locate every layer that we have. And this has been under the direction of the conservation agent as well as the director of planning. On the same day as town meeting, the building permit was issued for the high school. Folks may have wondered then how could work have been transpiring. What we'd formally issued was the foundation permit, but now they have their permit. I've shared the project schedule, and the town also is in receipt of the permit fee. As a public service announcement to residents, something called the maintenance overlay. It's not actually paving, it's sort of a very thin coat, basically preventative maintenance from preventing a road from further deteriorating, will begin to be placed on Route 117 from approximately Meadow Road to the Stowe Town line, starting today through the beginning of June. And we are still awaiting any feedback on the conservation agent's submission for the Derby Field project through the Municipal Vulnerability Program. On the staffing side, I'm seeking the board's recommendation whether they wish to discuss or wish to designate me as a signatory for renewal with the Metro West Collaborative Development. This is a regional entity that we have been affiliated with since 2014. They monitor our subsidized housing inventory, not just for the town of Bolton, but other neighboring communities, as well as tracking any expired deed writers and providing all the updates to what used to be called EOHHS, is now EOHLC. I've shared a letter from the planning director. If it's at the board's preference, whether you wish to discuss now or have this on for the June 5th agenda.
Just a quick question, Marie. Is there any time sensitivity? Like, is June 5th fine?
June 5th is fine too. It's all fine. Yeah. This is just something that Pam is very concerned and doesn't want it to fall through the cracks. So it is an every 3-year event. So we'll put it on for the 5th.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say I did take a quick peek, but I didn't want anybody to feel rushed. So Kate, if you'd like more time, we can pull it over to the 5th.
I took a look at all of the materials and it looks pretty standard, and you know, it's a good value that we get out of it. So I don't need
Okay,
more to do it.
great, then let's go for it.
Okay.
Do we need a motion for that, Marie?
If there would be a motion to renew our contract with the Metro West Collaborative Development per the IMA, and then board members can come in and sign at your leisure.
Yep.
Okay, I will. Just need to find it. Make a motion to, sorry, I don't have the language in front of me, Marie. What was it again?
For an intermunicipal agreement with the Metro West Collaborative Development.
Okay, so moved.
And I'll second that. Roll call, Kate.
Yes.
I'm also a yes. And we'll come in and sign that, Marie.
Thank you. The ongoing item, which is that the police department continues background investigations for 3 candidates who hold a conditional offer. These are 3 full-time officer candidates, and I'm afraid to jinx things, but at that point, we would be fully staffed for the police force. Yeah. An internal posting was put up today by Jenny for a part-time Board of Health and Permitting Administrative Assistant. The former employee had left in mid-February, and we've been relying upon the expertise and assistance of Kristen Zena to cobble us through. We're hoping that there would be an internal candidate who would express interest. If not, then there will be external advertising.
Okay. Great.
On the collective bargaining front, the fire department collective bargaining agreement covering fiscal 25, 26, and 27 has been ratified. The fire department, in conjunction with the treasurer, are working on retro payment. For folks watching at home, I want to be clear that for this collective bargaining agreement and the go forward, both for town non-union as well as town union, is that fiscal year 26 is a 0% COLA year. The Department of Public Works collective bargaining agreement will be voted later this week, meaning tomorrow. So that will be all set. And yet again, the Economic Development Committee still is seeking another member. There's a vacancy, and I encourage folks to go to the town website for submission of their application. For financial, before I go through financial, I do want to say it has been wonderful for me, in effect, of being able to take the documents that I have for cancellation of contracts and for termination of staff and put it aside and put it into a drawer. The passage of the override has brought a great deal of needed relief to secure Bolton's financial stability. I also view it though as setting an expectation that we need to, do better and to be held accountable. And so I take it sort of as we have the means and we also have a mandate. For financial, under the direction of the accountant, the department heads are reviewing the status of their open grants as well as then submitting end of year reimbursements. And we've also been diligently tracking down the status of our marijuana tax excise receipts from fiscal year 25 to date, as we have yet to receive a distribution from the Commonwealth. Under that, likewise, I just wanted to share that one thing that came up through the course of the 3 budget information sessions is that residents are very concerned and very invested in the transfer station. I had done an earlier analysis, but also recognized the limitations of my own knowledge and am seeking feedback. Ideally, I would love resident participation for an informal working group to gather input regarding the transfer station, the operations, potential improvements, and any ideal changes, and encourage residents to send me an email at ta@townofbolton.com.
Thank you. Really appreciate that, Marie. Kate, any questions for Marie?
No?
Okay. So now we're on to the select board business section of our agenda, and the first item is public service announcements. Kate, do you have anything?
I do. Sunday is the Neshoba Valley Pride Festival on the Bolton Common. It starts with a parade, which will be leaving from Emerson School around 12:50 or so, or assembling at least. People should try to plan to arrive early and find parking either at Sawyer or Emerson or at First Parish Church. And we look forward to seeing people there.
Great. This isn't so much a public service announcement as a grateful look back. So I just wanted to say thank you to the Economic Development Committee and everybody who was involved in organizing Backyard Bolton last weekend. Mother Nature did not cooperate. It was quite a wet start to the day, but that didn't deter the vendors and other participants. I thought the organizers did a really good job of trying to cope with the reality of the weather and still encourage people to come out. And I also wanted to say I had fun doing some office hours at that event and had some great conversations with residents, including several conversations about the transfer station, Marie. So I'm hoping maybe that a few of the people I spoke with might express interest in serving on that task force. But big thanks to everybody who made that event possible, and looking forward to finding out when the fall dates are. In terms of future agenda items, I'll take some ideas from you, Kate, of course, but I just wanted to say that Marie and I have been sort of trying to take a look at the entire calendar for the next 12 months and to try to start to map out some key topics for the year at different times. So I would like to obviously share that with you, Kate, at some point, and then ultimately with the public here. So I just wanted to make that note. But if you have any other specific future agenda items, Kate, please share.
No, I've had conversations with Marie as well, probably along the same lines as what you're thinking in terms of things that we should be looking at throughout the year. So once there's something in place, I think that'll be great.
Okay. Review code of conduct policies. This you, Kate?
This is me. So I have had some time to get back into the policy work that I had talked about doing. And one of the things that I thought was really important was to have a code of conduct for the select board and also for anybody that the select board appoints to boards, committees, and commissions. I looked at what a lot of our neighboring towns have. Most neighboring towns do have a code of conduct policy. And while this really only applies to the select board and to officials that we appoint, I think it would be great if all of our other elected boards would take a look at this and maybe consider adopting it as well, so that we had a uniform code of conduct that the public can expect from all of the people serving in a public capacity. It's broken down. Maria or Jenny, I don't know if you want to share the draft that I had done earlier. But essentially, it kind of breaks down into how people are expected to conduct themselves in relation to community members, and a section for how to deal with other elected and appointed officials, a section for conduct in relation to the town administrator, and also conduct in relation to town staff. And really, it is all about just making sure that everybody is being respectful and engaging in civil discourse, and recognizing differences of opinions and being able to speak about them. People are going to disagree, but we need to do it respectfully. And obviously, town officials have the obligation to follow the open meeting law and the ethics requirements that we're all required to adhere to. So Brian, I don't know if you had a chance to read through it, but mostly what I did was I took a suggested form from MMA and Mia. They both have some content on this. And then I took a lot of material from Stowe's and also from Harvard and kind of merged them together. The one thing that I did do after I drafted this is I redid an enforcement section, because I really didn't like the enforcement language that I had found. So I did some additional research. And Jenny, if I can share my screen, Brian, I can show you what I have drafted to try and, oops, not that. Just to replace the enforcement section completely. All right, so as expected, I can't do this, Marie, so if you could put it up. So the enforcement really would just be that the select board would be the enforcing agent, or the town administrator, if so designated, with a separate provision for violations by members of the select board, and then a section for violations by appointed officials. And the idea would be that upon adoption, the policy would be pushed out to everybody who's currently serving on the select board or in an appointed capacity. And then thereafter, every year, it would be sent out. There is a signature or an acknowledgement form for everybody to sign to acknowledge that they've received and reviewed the policy. So, have any questions?
Yeah, actually, so first, I guess a couple things. I would love a little bit more time to review this and maybe get an editable version. But I think it might be worthwhile just to spend a little time tonight with me explaining one of the concerns that I had related to enforcement. So it strikes me, first of all, I really like the content of a lot of the sort of expectations, but what I noticed is that some of the expectations are around norms of sort of like good and civil behavior, and where like a breach of the norm, uh, in my mind, would warrant like just like a kind of candid bit of feedback, like, oh, hey, Brian, like I thought the way things went in that meeting it got a little disrespectful, right? I would want boards to be able to have that kind of a feedback loop without it rising to like, you are formally accused of violating the code of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even something as simple, like when I was reading through this, I was like, I wonder if Kate has something I've done in mind. Like, have I accidentally gone around the town administrator, like, and not, so I would just want there to be like a more human, informal way of just like, hey, maybe you could have approached that differently. So I just want to think about how we might word some of that because, I would say not safeguarding confidential information of the town is like a really serious violation, but maybe uh, getting a little heated in a discussion one time is a different type of violation, and I feel like they call for different responses. That's my general thought. I don't know how that lands with you, Kate.
No, I think that makes sense. I mean, the goal isn't to, kind of come down heavy-handed, but just to have clear expectations, and just to make sure that, we're instilling public trust in how we're interacting with each other and, with the public and with everybody. So
Okay.
I welcome any comments or ideas. There are an awfully lot of different variations of these policies out there to choose from. And in fact, the model from MIA and from MMA does not have an enforcement provision at all. So you have to look at other towns to find out, but I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense to have a policy if there's not some sort of way to enforce it. So
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll definitely take a look at the alternative language if basically I could get editable versions of both of those, and then we can discuss at the next meeting. But thank you for teeing this up. I think it's a good idea.
expect more policies to come.
Buckle up. Okay, so to be continued on this one. Okay, select board reports. Any select board reports? You sort of just gave one.
That was mine.
Okay, I don't have any select board reports. Approval of bills / payroll warrants W25-23. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve bills and payroll warrants W25-23.
And I'll second that. Roll call. Kate?
Yes.
And I'm also a yes.
May I ask a question on that? Because I'm out tomorrow, do you know what time each of you will be in to sign that warrant? Because there's a timing issue with mailing of the checks, and I just need to let the treasurer know if they can go out in tomorrow's mail.
Unfortunately, I am about 5:05 is when I can come.
That's what I suspected. I'll let her know. It
Sorry.
is what it is.
Okay.
I theoretically could get myself up even earlier and go in and sign them at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I will let you know if I do that.
Okay, meeting adjourned so Kate can go to bed. We have minutes with some changes for April 3rd and April 17th. Okay. Motion to approve April 3rd,
I will make a motion to approve the minutes from April 3rd.
and I'll second that. Roll call. Kate?
Yes.
I'm also a yes.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes from April 17th.
And I will second that. Roll call. Kate?
Yes.
I'm also a yes. Okay, so at this time it's 8:11, and I would entertain a motion to enter executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 3, to conduct strategy with respect to collective bargaining with Police Union, Local 286, Massachusetts Coalition of Police, IUPA, AFL-CIO, because an open meeting would have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the town, and to accept executive session minutes.
So moved.
Okay, and I'll second that. Roll call. Kate?
Yes.
I'm also a yes.